Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. So I have a list of 10 decks that I am glad that I gave a second chance to in my collection. That for whatever reason, whether I was trying to give that deck away, whether I was trying to trade it, whether I was trying to sell it, the transaction fell through, or I just was like, I just got this little inkling that maybe I need to keep it after all. I'm glad I did. I'm going to take you through my 10 decks that I am glad that I gave a second chance to. It's for a variety of different reasons, and I am curious to hear what you think about some of the decks that I had chosen to give a second chance to. And I'm also curious to hear from you on those decks that you had tried to sell, that you had, you put it in the box for the giveaway pile, and for whatever reason it didn't happen. And then one day you come back to that deck and the connection is stronger than ever. Let's hear from you in that comment section, okay? All right, so now we're going to switch camera angles, and I'm going to take you through my Tarot and Oracle decks that I'm so grateful I gave a second chance to. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is an Oracle deck, and this one is the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle by Judy Hall. Okay, there are tons of crystal decks out there, and as you all may know, I'm very much into crystals. It is actually probably one of my earlier loves of things that I've collected in my entire life. I've always collected something, and crystals was one of those earlier things even as a child. So it made sense for me to want a deck that celebrates that love and combine that love with my love of the Oracle. However, I did find this deck to be challenging to work with when I first got it several years ago now, and I'll show you why. First of all, it comes in this nice little sturdy box. This is a walk-ins deck, and Judy Hall is an absolute expert when it comes to crystals and knowing her stuff as she does. I have a few of her books related to crystals because I had a huge crystal collection when I lived in the States. I had to pare down, of course, when I started living abroad, but many of them came with me, as you can see. And these aren't even accounting for all the crystals I have in my office. So it comes with this guidebook, right? Comes with this guidebook, wonderful guidebook, by the way, and then it has the images. Now, the reason why I had a challenge with working with this deck initially was because it would name the crystal, which is wonderful, love that, but then it didn't have like a keyword associated with it. So you almost, unless you really work with this deck all the time, you would have to go to the guidebook to see what the card is telling you. And I didn't like that when I first got it. Didn't like it at all. But there's a couple of things that actually makes this deck shine. So on a few occasions, I did try to sell it. It wouldn't sell. It's mass market. Look how it ripples, shuffles though. It's silver gilding too. It wouldn't sell. I think I even wanted to gift it, but what ended up happening was the person that I was going to gift it to, we didn't link up before I left the country. So the deck ended up coming with me. And I'm so glad it did. So now how I work with this deck is I don't shy away from using the guidebook, even for client readings. It is a really, really good guidebook. If you look carefully here, there's borders around the cards, colored borders. There's this purple. We have like this tealish kind of color, more of a blue, I don't know. lavender. These colors are associated with sections in the book. Let me show you. So she's got a table of contents here. She talks about crystal vibrations. And so here is the, let me see what she calls them here. The levels of crystal power. So we have earthy, these are the categories: earthy, healing, cosmic, integration, and interactive. Now, they're all sectioned off, all the different crystals that serve those purposes. So, for example, we have blue lace agate. This is for self-expression. That's the sub-key word here. And it says blue lace agate connects spirit with intellect, highlighting integrity and enhances the ability to communicate effectively what is in your mind and heart. There's a self-understanding section. There's a divination section. There's a healing insight section. And then there's the frequency. She, in many of her guidebooks, Judy always puts like what frequency does that stone or crystal vibrate at. And then that helps you to know if this is something you want to bring into your crystal healing practice, right? So this blue lace agate, the frequency is medium to high. The chakra is the throat, third eye, or heart and crown. Timing, Gemini, Pisces, soul path, expressing yourself fully. And I'm not going to read all of this, but this is a lot of good information here in just this section. Okay, if you play around with timing like I do, you would appreciate having this little section here that says it's associated with Gemini and Pisces. You know, so you would take the time periods for Gemini and Pisces. So I let the client know, like, okay, let's see, let's shuffle this. I'll show you. I've got this deck, this crystal healing deck, and either you can, you know, maybe use a crystal, maybe you have this crystal that's recommended, or you just take in the medicine I'm about to read to you from the guidebook. And they are completely fine with that. Let's see. Oh, what flew to the floor? Moldavite. Okay, so we got Moldavite. So let's just take a quick look. I see it's that, and it's also in numerical order, so you don't have to also look at the table of contents. You can go straight to number 34. This card's keyword is metamorphosis. And we'd be like, okay, so then I would intuitively, you know, read what I need to read to the client. If we are doing something more divinatory related, I'll read the divination section. If it's something about more like the healing modalities here for the stone, I would say, okay, here's the healing insight for you. You are far more than a physical body. Harmony at all levels creates your well-being. Frequency is earthy and high. Timing is Scorpio. You know, we would talk about, you know, the divination. Let's say it's the, you know, we're working with divination with this card. Detach yourself from mundane issues. You are going through a spiritual transformation. So dramatic changes occur as you reach beyond your limits. Talk to your soul to check the outcome of present actions. Transcend time. Avoid sowing seeds of destruction. Fertility and good fortune await. So, and then of course there's other sections here that talk about Moldavite, and that's why I really like it. Again, I know that there are tons of crystal decks out there that you can pick and choose from, and trust me, I have looked through all of them and none have really called to me, and in the end I'm glad I have this one. Many of the crystals I have in my collection, selenite for example, aquamarine, I don't have apatite. quartz, rose quartz. So yeah, I just really am pleased with this deck and grateful that I gave it a second chance, because now I am using it more than ever before, and in a way that feels good to me, and not trying to force it, into something where I'm like, oh, let me try to memorize all the card meanings and let me do this. No, this is one of those few decks I have in my collection that I'm going to consult the guidebook right in front of the querent, and nobody's going to have a problem with it. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this next one is going to be a fun one for me to talk about. I got it also several years ago, probably when it first published. This is the Dark Mirror Oracle Cards by Laura Sava. It is a low scarabia oracle, and I think now I sold a couple of other low scarabia oracle decks that I got over the years. Just not a huge fan of them, to be honest. And I even tried to sell this one a couple of times. Didn't work out. And it was like, I think twice I tried to sell it, like as a part of like a whole lot of decks, and they just didn't sell. I bought it, I think, before I got the Santa Muerte Oracle. I could not stand that Oracle deck. I like the Tarot deck, the Santa Muerte Tarot deck, but I could not stand the Oracle deck at all. It just was a no for me. And so I kind of lumped that experience with this one. And I just frankly didn't know what to do or how to read with this deck. It's so dark. We have Atonement. I couldn't stand this fragmented, disjointed kind of framing here. And I always say it every time I discuss this card. I say it's like the 1970s. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So my parents were 70s peeps, and they had those mirrors, turned kind of diamond shaped on their wall. And that's what this looks like to me. It's like the mirror effect. And of course, that's outdated. But now I actually appreciate it. We have Triumph of Lies. I just did not know how to work with it. And I don't know. It felt like it needed to stay in the collection because I couldn't sell it. And I didn't find anyone to gift it to. I didn't know of anyone who would appreciate it. So it just kind of stuck around. And now, you all have seen me work with it on occasion. If you watch my Mystery Mystic Monday readings, you have seen that I've worked with it now. I like this one, Alone in the World. And I work with it often. And I even do shadow type work. I pull like 1 or 2 cards for myself. Something I need to work on. And it may look dark and it certainly can be used for dark kind of readings, but it actually, for me, it doesn't have a heavy, mean voice to it. I have some very cutesy, not cutesy decks, but decks that are like flowy, ethereal, whimsical, and they are actually much more biting with the energy than this one, believe it or not. Addicted. I should do a video on that too, like what decks will bitch slap you and they look too pretty to do so. The Temple of My Body. Another great thing about this deck, I like Fated to Suffer, Anger and Chains. It's the guidebook. Let me see what else. Naked Before the Stars. This one. Gilded Regret. Masquerade. Just really like the fragmentation. Alright, I won't keep showing you. I do have unboxings. Any of the decks that I'm featuring in today's video, I will be sure to link the unboxing full flip through of that deck in the description box so you can look through them if you'd like. Dark Mirror Oracle Guidebook is actually really good. Yes, it's multilingual. It's got all the languages in here in the back. But what's great about this little guidebook is it's got moon phases. It has a key sentence, a visual seed message, another sentence, going dark. So today for tomorrow. And what I do sometimes to familiarize myself with the cards is I will take the guidebook out and read through the book, because some of the keywords are a little different, like peaceful among thorns, downcast pride. Well, parasite is pretty easy to navigate and work through, as is obsession. But let's see. Black flower fragrances was a little challenging for me. I love blinded to pain. Oh my goodness, I love that card. Revenge is also easier to understand. And so with Colorless Angel, I gave it my own interpretation of what it means for me when it comes up in a reading, particularly in my Mystery Mystic readings, as does the Perchance to Dream. So it found its way to being worked on a consistent and regular basis. And I literally almost got rid of it like twice. It really has gotten a third chance. And now 3 times the charm. It is one that I'm never going to let go. And yeah, I'm grateful that it is in my collection and part of my reading practice. Okay, some of you all who have known me a good while now, I've been on the YouTube Tarot Tube streets for a good while, since, I don't know, 2017, I think it's 2017. Anyways, so you all know this next one, or these next ones, that is going to be kind of an inside joke for some of us. And that is my Doreen Virtue collection. I think I did sell or gift 1 or 2 away. I can't remember. But for the most part, I've kept them, okay? I kept them. Here's the reason why I would have considered getting rid of them shortly thereafter her making her conversion to Christianity. Well, it's because she made her conversion to Christianity and she totally denounced tarot reading, oracle reading. She basically, we're like the spawns of the devil, like we are a problem, and she has made it her personal life mission now to talk all about it. And that can be a hard pill to swallow, especially for those of us who have made a conscious decision to walk away from organized religion, particularly walking away from Christianity. And it can be triggering, but guess what? I still love using her freaking decks. I don't care. When she was in her zone of, when she was in her zone of excellence, of making decks, she was doing a great job. There came a point, though, when she started making certain decks towards the end of her deck creating career that I could tell her heart wasn't in it. And thankfully, these are the decks that her heart was in it. And I'm still using them. I am. Okay. So I did think about selling them right after she did her conversion, because it was just such a turnoff. And I almost did, and then I didn't. I got busy at work, got distracted, and I was like, never mind. And then the Romance Angels one became super popular. Sadly, I'm sad that this box is empty because I accidentally left my copy, the deck, which is very battered. It's like, it's not in the greatest condition because I used it all the time. It's at my parents' house in their guest room when I went to the States last year, when I was there. I left the guidebook and the deck in the guest room. I left a few decks actually, so when I go there I have something to play with. But I brought the box, strangely enough. But I have this one. This is the Angel Tarot cards by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. Now, I'm also glad I kept this one. This was a gift from someone. And now Radley's name is just on the decks. They reprinted this one and took Doreen's name off because she insists on it. But The rest of these are out of print. Any of them that you find on the internet now are knockoffs. They are, you know, they're not the real deal unless you buy them secondhand, you know, in a tarot marketplace on Facebook somewhere. But I love them. Oh my God. I still use these decks. I really do. And I'm not even really into angel oracles and stuff like that. That's not my jam. But for some reason, these decks read really well. The only one that wasn't really at risk, or no, the only, I say, 3 that weren't at risk of being sold ever was the Life Purpose, the Butterfly, and the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. And that is because this is one of my first little angel-y or goddess type of decks, and it's kind of got sentimental value. And then these actually started to go out of print even before she made her conversion announcement. So I'll link in the description box my feelings back then on all of that and how I feel about it today. Y'all know how I feel about it today. I don't give a damn. Sorry, Doreen, I'm still using your decks, and I will. So, there you go. Time to decide. This is the Life Purpose Oracle cards. Has a great little guidebook, but what I also appreciate about this one is you've got a little key message here. Okay, that's what I appreciate. I'm not going to show you all of them because that's not really necessary, I don't think. We'll just kind of, like, this one's in print, except it just has Radley Valentine's name on it. This is another really good one. I love her guidebook in this one. And it's just got butterflies on it, but the keywords are amazing. Healing from the past. So it's Butterfly Oracle cards for life changes, self-care, windfall, barely see them. Let's see, adult children, let's see what else I like, family changes, gracefully aging, dietary change, leaving, decisions. So yeah. Angels of Abundance is a good one. I don't use it as much because I have a career and money oracle that I go to from time to time, but sometimes when I have clients who want to work with me specifically about attracting abundance into their life, I will pull 1 to 3 of these cards as either an opening oracle reading or a closing oracle reading to tie up all the messages. And so this one is really good because I'll zoom in on the picture so they can read the message themselves. And it's got angels. Again, I'm not a fan of that. Not that I don't like angels, but I'm just not, it's not my go-to aesthetic in terms of art. But yeah, it's a good deck. I think after this, for me, this is kind of, after this deck was made, this is kind of when she started falling off in terms of like being inspired and feeling like this was devil work. I don't know. And then this one is a near and dear classic for me. I really love this one. And it has significant memories for me because I used this deck like non-stop when I was in the process of trying to buy a home. And I felt like it gave me messages like no other. Divine comfort, divine inspiration. And I knew what to do next. And it would constantly, even before I actually found the home, and even before I even started the home buying process, I was getting cards. I forgot there was one that was like represents home, new home. I can't find it now, but it's just a significant deck for me that I'm grateful that I have. I love it. I love it. It's accurate too. Again, sometimes the creators, they take a different path, and that may cause you to want to sell the decks and move on and not deal with them ever again. But you know, sometimes you can separate the creation from the creator. It can be done. I'm living proof of this. So here is the next one. This is a tarot deck, and it is the Tarot of Haunted House by Los Scarabeo, and it's got a little white book. This was gifted to me by my kids some years ago, and I actually put it on my Amazon wish list, so it wasn't like they had to figure it out and get it for me. They picked out different decks I had on my wish list and got it for me as part of my Christmas present. So if there was this tug of like wanting to keep it for nostalgic purposes, and they give my kids gifted this to me. So I didn't want to give it up, but I wasn't really using the deck, and I really needed to pare down my collection. At one point, it had swollen up to like, I think it was like 220 decks. And so I was like, well, I could pass it along to someone who would really appreciate it. But I never got a chance to really sell it. And then I was like, okay, next time I go to the States, I'm going to bring it with me and, try to sell it there. Didn't work out. And it was like the night before I was getting ready to take it to my favorite bookstore. I love this sun card. I started going through all the decks I was going to sell to them. I have this local bookstore in Sacramento that buys all of my decks. They love when I come to town. And I was going through all the decks the night before, and I went through this one. I was like, you know what? There's something about this one. I think I want to keep it. And I'm glad I did, you all. I love that Ace of Cups. Because it really surprised me how much I enjoy working with it. It's not your usual deck. And people have been giving me tips. Like there is, I think the creator has a channel that goes into depth about the story behind the deck. So I'm looking forward to actually studying this deck a bit more and getting to know it better. So yeah, it got a second chance at me working with it. All right, so this next one is the Fountain Tarot. And yeah, this one for sure I did. It was on the chopping block of being sold or traded, that is for sure. Or gifted rather. Because I thought it was my aesthetic initially when I first got it, silver gilding. And I know there's an indie version, and I think maybe there was this part of me that wanted to get my hands on that. But this, let me see who makes this one. I don't even know who makes that. RB? Roost Books. Okay, Roost Books. So I don't know. I was like, okay, I need a minimalistic type of deck. Surely the Fountain will work for me. But what ended up happening was I just didn't really work with it very often at all. And it just sat there. And so again, when I was going through decks that I needed to purge and get rid of, this one definitely went into the quote unquote purgatory box. And you're probably wondering, well, how did it make it across thousands of miles to go abroad with you? Well, it was again one of those things where I went through the night before to get ready to sell it. I had packed so many decks to come from the DR to the United States just for the purpose of being able to sell them easily in the States. I don't really try to trade or sell decks here, just it's not really a market for it. Or at least I haven't tapped into the market out here yet. But I was in my parents' guest room and I was kind of going through these cards and I was like, I really am digging this Two of Swords here. And I actually really like this sparseness. It kind of allows this emptier space in my brain to kind of fill up with my own images and intuitive hits. I don't know how to explain it. And even going through this deck now, I'm kind of getting excited about working with it again. It is modern. It is a little cold. Some people would consider it like a hipster type of deck. But actually, it delivered wonderful readings. And I think I might leave it on my reading table tonight for tomorrow's readings. And use it, give it a go for a client reading. Like I said, it delivered just fine. I think that it just was one of those decks that I didn't really get a chance to get to know and connect with. So time and time again, it would come on the chopping block of ones that I would consider like selling or getting rid of, to be honest. And here it is now. And here I am now showing you. Yeah. You have to let me know, what do you think about the fountain? I'm curious. Here's the world. Here's the world. So yeah, I might have to use this little bad boy. And it just looks like it would shuffle nicely. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Oh, and it jumps well too. Look at the Hanged Man. So I think I'm going to leave this one out and work with it and see how it do. How does this thing work? So yeah, that is the Fountain Tarot. And oh, before we move on, the guidebook is great. It's got Ace of Cups, emotional connection, a little meaning here, and then it goes into, or it shows about what's in the image, which I appreciate in the guidebook. Then it goes into the upright meaning and then the reversal meaning. So it's a really good deck. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know how we got lost. And now we're coming back together again. Okay, last but not least, this one might surprise you. It is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot by Poppy Palin. This literally, I think this is like my third copy, because I actually did sell my very first copy of it because I found that the cards were a bit too cumbersome to shuffle. Then I got a second copy that's at my parents' house, right? Because then I felt bad. Like, I was like, oh, I actually really enjoyed working with this deck. So then I had like this buyer's remorse. So it's one of the very few decks that I bought again. Very few times I've done that in my deck collecting life. And then I left it in the States when I moved abroad because it's quite a heavy, deck and box and guidebook. So I left it. And then our dear, beautiful Poppy passed away. And then I was called to do a tarot study in our Facebook group with this deck. And that was a beautiful experience. I'm gearing up to prepare for another tarot study in the Facebook group. And I think I want to, whichever deck we decide on, I want to have that be in a giveaway. So y'all stay tuned. I got to get my Facebook group folks together on what we want to do for our next tarot study. But that tarot study was what had me buy another copy. And for a brief time, this sold out because she had passed away and people were buying up the decks. This is a red feather shiffer deck, by the way. So people were buying them up. Here's the gorgeous backs. And so I had to kind of wait for a bit, and then I ordered it. And I'm so glad I did. And I'm so glad we worked with it in the tarot study because it helped me to fall in love with it all over again. I used to use this deck a lot for back when I used to do all 12 sign love readings or all 12 sign career readings on my channel, or work with Instagram on doing weekly draws. I liked it because they were big. You can really visibly see the images here, right? You can really see that. So I just thought this was one that needed to come back home to me. So it is large. It is large and in charge. I have not trimmed this copy yet because I've been so busy, you guys. You just don't even know. But I love the Justice card. But I'm still on the fence on trimming it because I'm kind of one of those people who are like purists who doesn't like to trim the decks. But there's a part of me that just knows that if I unleash the images, or, you know, liberate them from these borders, that we may have a powerful reading session. So we'll see. We'll see. The verdict's still out. I lamented about it a lot during the tarot study for the Everyday Enchantment Tarot when we were in the Facebook group. And people gave great tips on how to trim. So that was cool. I appreciate y'all for that. And I haven't forgotten them. So maybe once I get a little break, I can trim them. But the guidebook is also just amazing. I mean, Poppy's energy is infused and imbued in all of this creation here. I mean, it really is. And, you know, sometimes I wish that this was a mini deck. Like, I wish there was a mini version. But then you wouldn't probably be able to see the intricacies of the artwork. And that could be a problem. So I don't know. You know, so you just take the art as it is and as it comes. And that's what I've learned with working with this particular deck. The guidebook is so good. If you're new to tarot, this is a good one to work with, to get to know. It's modern. And I just really appreciate what she wrote in the guidebook. I think it would be helpful for those who are new to card reading. Yeah, so there you have it, folks. That is my rather short list of second chance decks, and I'm curious to hear what are some of your second chance decks. Do you have some that barely made the cut and now you're glad that you kept them? I want to hear from you in the comment section, so please let me know. And yeah, do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button if you like videos like this. This is the easiest way to let me know you like videos like this. And if you want to be notified of any kind of videos I'm doing on the channel, please subscribe, because I think that is one of the main ways for you to stay in the loop with Abundant Life Tarot. All right, my friends, take good care of yourselves. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.